everyone. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good.
Great. Thanks for joining on this conversation of a look back at 2020 and where everything was. And maybe a little bit about where we think it's going to go moving forward. So first off, obviously the biggest item of 2020 was COVID and the shelter in place. So I think the first part is just going all the way back till, the March, April time period, and just talking about what we saw when the shelter in place hit and COVID really became part of our industry. Vic, do you want to, start it off about what you saw with the inventory on the marketplace?
Yes. So it was definitely an interesting time, definitely unprecedented, as we all know. And what we noticed right from the beginning of March, April was pretty much everybody was kind of living in fear. Nobody knew what the plan was going to be, how we're going to proceed with doing real estate. Were buyers and sellers able to still make moves for their future, and what it all entailed. What we did see was that the market didn't stop. It's seemingly proven that at least for real estate and for buying and selling, it was pretty much COVID resistant, and we were able to still transact. And what we found was that a lot of people are working from home, and all of a sudden there was a big rush of buyers and sellers that were moving, and also just needing to upgrade their current living situations with how everybody's working from home. So as soon as that hit, that's carried us through a very strong 2020. And I would say it was a pretty good year for real estate, although the rest of the world was not having such a great time.
Yeah, no, I saw all that happening. And then Jeremy, do you want to touch base on any additional items?
Yeah, I agree with Vic. I think things slowed down a little bit in April, May with sellers. I think sellers tended to put the brakes on a little bit with some of the changes, and listings that were about to go on seemed to pause for a month or two. Buyers were starting to think about getting into the market, and then as soon as June hit, everybody I know got busy. Agents got busy, appraisers got busy, stagers got busy. So a lot of the people who were starting to look outside of their rentals in April and May and consider buying a home, they started picking up the phone in June to talk to buyers agents to start looking at inventory. And that's when the sellers started calling their agents and saying, okay, I think it's time to list. So, that April-May period slowed down a little bit, but I think the potential energy of the market certainly kept up. So as soon as June 1st hit, it was almost like the floodgates opened up and the market really took off. So yeah, it was a fascinating time, and I think we're still riding that wave to some degree that really kicked off in June rather, that kicked off in June.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what I saw as well, is that the March, April time period is really the beginning of the spring market, and that just got delayed until May or June. And I remember a condo hitting the market in May, and it was underpriced, but it was like top floor, it had some outdoor space, and I was just like watching it to see what it did, and it just come mid-May, it just flew off the shelves as buyers are coming back and really wanting that that additional space and to get into their private residence during this time period.
I agree. I think a lot of buyers started looking at their resources in April, May, June. And for renters who had been saving and thinking about joining the market, a lot of those buyers at the $1 million mark were starting to pick up the phone. And so we saw a lot of condos in that 800 to 1.1 range come into the market, and they got snatched up really quickly. I certainly experienced that with a few of my buyers, and they were determined and disciplined, and listing agents, I think, were really ready to move these units to get them off the market and satisfy their sellers. So I think it was a win-win. Certainly in June, July, I think that was happening relatively quickly. Yeah. I do think, though, that as the summer went on, we had more buyers following suit because they had talked to their friends. And so with more inventory and more buyers, what started happening was a little bit of a slowdown, a little bit more discerning buyer who wasn't necessarily pouncing on things. So I think some of that is still continuing now, but certainly there are some great units on the market right now.
Jeremy, were you seeing that mostly? I know you work both sides of the Bay. Were you mostly seeing that in the East Bay or San Francisco, or where were you experiencing that?
Definitely. We are seeing a lot of condos in Oakland still. Different price point, however. In Oakland, you can still get a great condo for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, which is quite different from San Francisco. So in San Francisco, you're getting more of a TIC at that $600,000-$700,000 mark, whereas in Oakland, you're getting more of an actual condo. And people, I have a lot of buyers who want to leave San Francisco and come over to Oakland for numerous reasons. Sometimes it's weather, sometimes it's change, and sometimes it's just being able to get a bigger living space for maybe the same or less money than they would find in San Francisco. So I think the COVID era has given people a lot of opportunity to just reflect on how they live and try to solve some problems in a new space, or just try to live in a different way that makes them happier, especially since they're spending more time at home.
And then Vic, I know you're over in East Bay, you're in San Francisco, you're in the Peninsula. What have you seen in the different marketplaces as far as, how things are selling?
Yes, over in the East Bay, I mean, I've really thought it was a really prime market during those June, July months of last year. I felt like I really was able to get some of my buyers some really good deals out there right before people started the buying frenzy again, which was like, it's something I really enjoy because, the market always going up in the Bay Area, it's hard to really feel like, every buyer you're working with is getting a deal. But right at the beginning of the COVID time, I felt like we were able to get some good deals for my clients. In the Peninsula, things are not nearly as crazy as in the East Bay, I would say. It's a little bit more of a stable market. The peaks and valleys are much flatter overall throughout the year. I was looking back at comparative to 2019, and in terms of active listings, what's on the market and prices, like we haven't really seen too much movement. So it's a really stable market, which is, I think it's healthy for both buyers and sellers. The one thing we've seen a big difference in the Peninsula is the days on market have definitely decreased. Things are moving and getting ratified faster. So.
Yeah, interesting. I'm seeing a little bit of that also in San Francisco. And I think the San Francisco and Peninsula markets have tracked well together during this time period. People who want to be closer to easy commuting areas near the job hubs, that is the San Francisco Peninsula, and then the Marin and East Bay market, people have been moving to with a little bit more frenzy when they're trying to get more space during this time period, especially maybe more first-time home buyers, entry buyers who really want that backyard, and they can get that over in the East Bay right now.
Yeah, I would also add. Oh, sorry, Jerry. I would also add that what I noticed with the buyers that are leaving San Francisco is when they're trying to decide between East Bay and Peninsula, the ones that opt for the East Bay are opting for the East Bay for space, but then also a little bit for the lifestyle, just because there's more things you can do out there, more parks. It's just a little bit more active, whereas in the Peninsula, we're seeing more families with kids, people looking to settle down in more like a suburban type of lifestyle. So.
I've been seeing some of the city buyers who are moving into Oakland. They're looking to follow some of their friends who've made the move over the past year. I agree with you about parks. They're looking for some of the recreation as well. Some of them are also looking for proximity to the city still because they still have a social life. despite COVID over in the city. So they're looking for something that's not too far into the East Bay, but might be more, around downtown Oakland, or, sticking somewhere around 580, or even, 24 or 13, somewhere near a highway. But it's been harder to get a lot of the homes here when they're solving some of those problems, like space, an extra bedroom. Those homes are at a premium, and a lot of buyers. I talked to somebody yesterday, 54 disclosure packages out and 8 or 9 confirmed offers. And this is for a home that's listed for under $500,000 with, no parking. It's so there. If there's a home that's solving the problems for many buyers, it tends to attract a lot of them, and they're becoming really competitive really quickly. So in some ways, it's looking like the San Francisco market a year ago.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed also. We haven't really mentioned too much about Marin, but the Marin market is the same thing. People who want to have that proximity to San Francisco, but want the extra space, want the lifestyle. My clients who have moved up there are mostly tech buyers, tech professionals who don't expect to be going back to work 5 days a week, but maybe going back to work, two days a week in the future, and don't mind an extra long commute for a couple of days that they weren't willing to do beforehand.
Yeah, I think lifestyle is really important. And I know that when I'm talking to my buyers, I always talk about not only how livable is this home that you're currently in, whether that's an apartment or a condo or a house, and what are the factors that you're looking to change. How livable do you want your new home to be? And not just the home, but also the neighborhood, the city, the area. And I think with people spending more time at home, they're reflecting on how livable their current lives are, and what kind of changes they're able to make. And I think that aspect of the home buying process allows people to be really creative and really think about how they want to live. So it tends to be a really exciting aspect of the process for them.
Great. Vic, you had mentioned previously about days on market, what you were seeing in the Peninsula market. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how quickly things are selling, what product types, whether it's houses or condos, are selling faster?
Sure. Yes. So for days on market, just looking year over year, last year through the winter months, at least, we were seeing things creep up to around the 40 days on market. And through the busy time of 2019, we were seeing the days on market average around 20 to 25 days. But as we're entering this year, entering 2020, we're seeing days on market hover around 10 to 20 days now. Part of it, I believe, is due to just a lack of inventory. There's just not as much out there, and the buyers are still out looking on full force. And with lockdown, it seems like a lot of buyers just have a lot of time on their hands. You can't go out and enjoy activities as much. So a lot more people are just kind of looking at homes and keeping an eye on the market, and just staying a lot more active through what would be supposed slow time of the season.
Jeremy, do you want to mention anything about what you've seen?
Sure. I think that buyers are starting to really pay attention to the differentiating factors among different properties, especially in the East Bay, if they're looking to solve a challenge that they have somewhere else. So when a property comes on the market and it has 3+ bedrooms, 1.5 or more bathrooms, and has a yard, and has a garage, and has storage, when a home features the kinds of amenities that people want, especially in Oakland right now, it's not spending a long time on the market. And agents are doing really wonderful marketing campaigns to get the word out and to get those interested buyers. And they're creating a situation right away that sometimes, I've seen houses go, I think 2 weeks ago there was a place that was gone in 3 or 4 days because they had done a great job prepping the property and marketing it, and it had really everything that somebody would want over here in the East Bay. So yeah, condos are taking longer, 3-4 weeks sometimes. It just depends. If a condo doesn't have a differentiating factor that makes it stand out above the others, especially if they're a multi-unit building and there's more than one unit that's similar to the others, it's sometimes some of those units are selling or not selling, but it's a great deal. So I really encourage buyers to try to find the things in the different units that are meaningful to them and pounce on it if they can.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing in San Francisco. That single family homes, they're selling still incredibly fast for the most part. But the single family homes that are taking longer to sell are the ones with minimal to low outdoor space. And then single family homes are a completely different type of selling product right now than condos. But then even within the condo market, 1-bedroom condos versus 2-bedrooms are also acting very differently. And I believe the fastest moving condos are 2-bedrooms right now in the marketplace. 1-bedrooms are just having a strong difficulty in seeing 40, 45, 50 plus days on market for those.
And I'm seeing some buyers in the San Francisco condo market who are specifically looking to take a roommate on as soon as they buy the condo. So they're paying really close attention to the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, but also the layout, or if the bedrooms adjoin, that might not be something that buyer who wants a roommate is going to want to take on. So we have to really pay attention to what those important factors are to the buyers and really help them find something that works for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Layout is one of the most important things right now. Especially also with COVID, people don't want to bring contractors, anyone into the property to fix any changes or layout issues that they may have been once willing to deal with previously.
For sure.
So as we get to the end of this conversation, do you guys want to have any discussion about where we see the market going over the next couple of months? What are your expectations in East Bay, Peninsula, and San Francisco?
Yes, for Peninsula, we're starting to see inventory come back on, more so in San Mateo. Things are starting to pick up a bit more. It's nothing out of the ordinary compared to other years. So if all things stay the course, it should be a pretty healthy spring and into the summer. Again, with COVID, things are always kind of fluid. But as the vaccine gets rolled out towards hopefully the summer, maybe that'll open things back up where we can resume open houses and then, just have a lot more activity in the market.
With inventory coming on the market, are you also seeing buyers starting to talk with you?
Yeah, the buyers I've actually, they usually take a break during the winter holiday, but this year, my buyers remained active all the way through the winter. So it's given us some momentum heading into 2021. And right before the holiday, we submitted an offer on a place in the Peninsula, and they set like a 5-day offer deadline, and it still had 18 offers, and it was like ultra competitive. So there's a lot of momentum heading into 2021, which I feel good about. So
I have to agree. I think a lot of buyers are kind of in that place that they were in April and May of last year. I think they're looking online. I think they're waiting to pounce. I think they're looking to find the right property, but they're certainly reaching out and they're waiting in the wings. And property is starting to come back on. I'm seeing a lot more in Oakland that's in the lower price range and the 5s and 6s, and especially out in East Oakland. I think we're going to see a lot of inventory at that range. And people improving those houses for sale. So I think it's an exciting time, especially if people are looking for something that is more move-in ready, rather than something that needs a construction crew to come in and spend months working on it. I think we're going to see some more of those properties coming on in the late spring for sure.
And I would also add that I've had conversations with some buyers in the later part of last year, and also the summer months, like through June, where a lot of people were like, COVID 2020, it's just been kind of a crapshoot, like we'll wait till 2021 and just get the ball rolling. So a lot of people just wait for that just something as simple as the calendar year turning to just say like, okay, like that year's passed, like let's move forward, like let's try to, move on with our lives in terms of pursuing homeownership goals. So,
yeah.
And I think the best thing that buyers can do right now is to start getting your financial house in order, run a credit check, see what your credit score is, make sure that your accounts are looking good, talk to a lender. I know that all of us on our team, we have preferred lenders who we work with. So now is a great time to get those ducks in a row so that when you're actually ready to shop, you're ready to shop.
Well, thanks, Jeremy. That's a great place to end it. So with that wonderful recommendation. So thanks, Vic. Thanks, Jeremy, for joining on this conversation.
You're very welcome.
It's great.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.